North Korean leader Kim Jong-un today vowed to send a bigger, as he put it, gift package to the United States after North Korea carried out its third missile test in 3 weeks. The warning to President Trump comes after South Korea conducted a joint drill with a U.S. supersonic B-1B Lancer bomber yesterday. My next guest says North Korea is about 4 years away from a nuclear warhead that could hit the contiguous 48 states. Joining me now, Forbes contributor, China expert, Gordon Chang. Gordon, good to have you here. You've just heard General Jack Keane, former vice chief of the Army, say straightforwardly he thinks that the real issue here is China and the collision course that they are on with the United States. Your thoughts?
Absolutely correct. You know, the North Koreans couldn't bark nor bite, as they say, without China, because China provides more than 90% of their external trade, most of their food, most of their oil, plus also the technology for the missiles. The missiles that the North Koreans tested on August 24th, February 12th, and May 21st look like they come from China's JL-1 submarine-launched missile. Also, you know, there have been parts that we have fished out of the sea from North Korean missiles that are clearly from China. And you go through this in the nuclear weapons program, some of the semi-processed fissile material that the North Koreans have came from China.
So, Gordon, you're saying is this. One, the Chinese are providing technology. Secondly, they are providing design. And thirdly, they're providing, if not manufacture, the products themselves that are being used in those missiles.
Yes, and also that the missiles are now carried on mobile launchers. Those mobile launchers are Chinese. We saw this last April 15th in that big parade through
the big
Pyongyang.
Canisters.
And the canister looks like it's Chinese as well. You know, we're not worried about North Korea's longest range missile, the Taepodong-2, because it takes weeks to assemble, fuel, test. We can kill it on the launch pad. We worry about the mobile missiles, and North Korea has mobile missiles because China sold them the launchers.
The threat, we now have a third strike force moving into the Sea of Japan. Your judgment, is that third carrier strike force there because of North Korea, or is it there because of China?
It's probably because of China. And the reason is we've got now two carriers in the Sea of Japan, the Ronald Reagan and the Carl Vinson. I think with the Nimitz coming on board into the Western Pacific, what they're doing is they're covering the rest of the region to make sure the Chinese don't try something provocative when we've concentrated all our forces up north. You know, China, as General Keane pointed out.
Provocative. They've been provocative in the South China Sea. They are being provocative and the United States has its intelligence services and the Pentagon have been relatively quiescent. That is strangling the public's right to know when it comes to the degree of involvement of China in the North Korean missile program and presumably as well their nuclear weapons program.
Yeah, definitely their nuclear weapons program, because components for North Korea's nukes come across the Chinese border, and that's been very recent, as well as uranium. I mean, this is the
So what is the United States to do? This is not only a difficult challenge, a complex challenge, it's downright daunting.
Well, first thing is what President Trump is already doing, and that is bringing military forces to the region.
What do we need to do from here?
I think the other thing that we need to do is start imposing sanctions on Chinese financials and the enterprises that are supplying this material.
Now, look, you and I have known each other for many a year. We won't get into all of those years. We're friends. And this audience has followed you and me throughout that period, and they deserve straight talk here. Sanctions don't work. Economic sanctions don't work. And you know that. So what is the point of that?
Well, the sanctions are loose, and they're also not enforced. China has been... We've let China...
No. I really do. I do want to press this. What is the United States to do? Because it's mockery what we do with Iran. It is mockery what we have done over the course of 3 presidencies with the North Koreans and what we have done with China. It's an exercise in absurdity. What is the responsible, effective policy choice for this president going forward to blunt the Chinese expansionism?
Well, first of all, I think what we're going to have to do is talk to Beijing in public as well as in private, and we've got to make sure that we impose costs on Beijing for what it's doing. And this is like South China Sea, East China Sea, cyber attacks, predatory trade practices, what they're doing to Taiwan, the whole range of it. You know, we have given them a lot of free passes over the years, and clearly that is no longer acceptable because the Chinese think that they can do whatever they want.
So basically what you're saying is, if we had not elected Donald Trump as president, we wouldn't be having the discussion, and they would be continuing to run all over the region.
Right. And I think that President Trump is going to have to take some measures that are going to be politically unpopular. But we do know that he has the will to do that because we've heard him talk.
And, you know, there's another great threat here, isn't there? You just heard Sean Spicer, the White House press secretary, talking about the left-wing media adoration of false narratives. That's another fancy Washington term for lies. And this is a time when the public deserves honest journalism, honest reporting, and they're getting none of it out of that crowd.
Especially because the U.S. now faces existential threats. And it's not just North Korea, but it's also Iran down the road and China today. And we need to have those conversations on a national level because we're going to have to make some very difficult choices to protect the American people. And previous administrations haven't done that. North Korea, for instance, did not become instantly dangerous on January 20.
Yeah, no. And by the way, the very biased, they love to call it bias. I mean, these are complicit journalists. They didn't say a word as President Obama pursued policies that made Kim Jong-un's threats all the more real and all the more difficult for the succeeding president to resolve. You know, out west they would say, damn their hides.